I twisted the key in the lock, and with a quick shove, the front door flew open like I didn't give a damn. Her heels clicked loud against the hardwood floor, sharp, almost like they were mocking me. She stumbled inside, chuckling to herself, her head shaking like she was replaying some private punchline in her mind. I didn't budge, just sat there on the couch in the shadows, eyes locked on her. Victoria had been running this girls' night out routine for months now, pulling it off like a pro. Her excuses were getting sloppier, and her attitude bolder than ever. Back in the day, she'd at least fake a little shame for rolling in late. These days, though, she strutted through the door like she ran the show, like I was just some decoration in her world, a worn-out chair she could ditch whenever she felt like it. Her dress was all creased up, her hair looked like a bird's nest, and that pricey perfume she soaked herself in couldn't hide the whiff of some dude's cologne that sure as hell wasn't mine. But the real kicker? No underwear. She kicked those heels off like it was nothing, letting out a big, exaggerated sigh as she slung her purse onto the counter. Even in the faint light, I could see that smirk on her face, like she was begging me to call her out. "You're late," I said, keeping my tone steady, under control. She didn't even twitch. Instead, she spun around, stretching her arms out wide like she'd just survived the toughest day ever. "Oh, chill out, it's only," she peeked at the wall clock, 2:47 a.m. A laugh slipped out of her. "Alright, fine, maybe a tad late." I didn't say a word, just let the quiet sit there heavy between us. She huffed, acting like she was the one putting up with me. "Geez, don't give me that look," she said, flipping on the living room light and squinting at me with this smug little grin. "You're acting like I just climbed out of some random guy's sheets." I stayed silent. Didn't need to say a thing. Victoria rolled her eyes hard and brushed past me toward the kitchen. I heard her digging around in the fridge, pulling out a water bottle. She unscrewed the cap, took a long gulp, then turned back to me, still wearing that cocky smirk. "What's your deal? You really got a problem with me living a little?" She snorted. "Sorry you don't get it, babe, but us girls need a break sometimes. We go out, cut loose, maybe drink a bit too much. Big deal." She sipped her water again, then leaned back against the counter, arms crossed tight. "So that's why you came home with no underwear?" I asked, calm as could be. Her smirk slipped, just for a split second, then she burst out laughing. "Oh my God, are you actually checking if I've got panties on?" she said, shaking her head like I was pathetic. "You're so paranoid, babe. Unreal." My jaw clenched up tight. "So where'd they go?" She shrugged like it was no big thing. "Beats me, maybe I ditched M in the Uber, or at the club, or hell, maybe in the bathroom when I swapped outfits." She froze for a second, realizing she'd slipped. Quiet hit the room like a brick. That perfect, untouchable front of hers cracked, then she patched it up fast, her lips twisting into a sharp, nasty grin. "Whoops," she said, all playful-like. That single word lit a fire in my veins. She was messing with me, loving every second of it. I sucked in a deep breath, keeping my face stone cold. "So this is just another Tuesday for you? Strolling in half-naked, stinking of some other guy's scent?" She scoffed, eyes rolling again. "Oh, come on, quit the melodrama." She threw her hands up like I was exhausting her. "You really think I did something? Listen to yourself, man." She shoved off the counter and sauntered over, hips swinging like she was on a damn catwalk. She stopped right in front of me, peering down with that same arrogant look. "Look, babe," she said, dragging the words out slow like I was some dumb kid. I went out. I danced. I drank. I had a blast. End of story. Meanwhile, you're over here sulking like some jealous teenager. Maybe you oughta try having some fun instead of stewing over my every move. My fists balled up tight. She wasn't even bothering to deny it anymore. She tilted her head, scanning my face like she was sizing up how pissed I was. Then she let out this big, fake sigh and patted my cheek, actually patted it. "God, you're adorable when you're mad," she teased, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Maybe if you weren't such a drag, I wouldn't need these girls' nights to shake things up." And that was the last straw. I shot up from the couch fast, and she flinched back a step. That cocky smirk of hers finally started to crack. I just stood there, staring her down for a long, heavy stretch, letting the silence do the talking, letting her figure out that whatever control she thought she had over me was toast. She puffed out a breath, folding her arms tight again. "All right, this is getting creepy. What, you planning to freeze me out all night?" I didn't bite, just turned and headed for the stairs. Her voice chased me, sharp and annoyed. "Are you kidding me right now? Babe, quit acting like a damn kid." I kept my mouth shut. Upstairs, I locked the bedroom door behind me and started wiping myself out of her world. She had no clue, no idea this was the last time she'd ever play me for an idiot, no hint that come morning, I'd be a ghost. No note, no messages, no heads up, just dead air. And by the time it hit her what she'd thrown away, it'd be way too late. Her phone alarm went off at 9:30 a.m. sharp, buzzing hard against the nightstand like a ticked-off hornet. Victoria groaned loud, flopping onto her belly and smashing her face into the pillow. She stank of old booze and sweat, but she couldn't care less. How she'd even made it to bed last night was a blur. After a couple minutes of pretending the alarm didn't exist, she finally stretched out her arms and legs, groping for her phone. One lazy swipe, and the screen flared up, the bright light making her wince. No missed calls, no texts, nothing. She snorted. "Oh, so we're playing the silent game now. Real mature." She rolled onto her back, sucking in a deep breath, and peeked at the empty spot next to her. No husband, no dents in the sheets, no sign he'd even crashed there last night. "Pfft, he's just overreacting, as usual." She flung the covers off and sat up, her head pounding a little from all those drinks she'd slammed down the night before. Not that it bothered her, she'd damn well earned every sip. "I mean, I'm hitched, not locked up, right? If he couldn't handle that, well, that's his problem, not mine." She shuffled to the bathroom, splashing cold water on her face before checking herself out in the mirror. Smeared eyeliner, hair like a rat's nest, lips still kinda puffy from, well, she grinned at her reflection. Yep, last night was a good time. With a smug little hum, she wandered downstairs, figuring I'd be moping in the kitchen over a mug of coffee like some sulky teenager. But when she poked her head around the corner, it was dead quiet. None of the usual morning stuff, no coffee brewing, no plates rattling, no me. Victoria cocked an eyebrow and strolled over to the counter where I always dumped my keys. Nada. My wallet? Missing. Work phone? Gone too. A weird, jittery feeling crawled up her back, something she wasn't used to. "Miles?" she yelled. Silence. She checked the living room, empty. Peeked in the garage, my car was AWOL. That smirk of hers? Wiped clean off. She snatched her phone and shot me a text, "Seriously, you're sulking this hard? Man up." No reply. She dialed my number, straight to voicemail. Now frowning, she pulled up that location tracker we shared, the one she always griped about but secretly loved when she needed to know where I was. The app spun its little wheel, mocking her, then popped up, "Location unavailable." Her gut twisted up tight. What the hell? She hit refresh. Same deal. She blew out a quick breath, trying to shrug off that uneasy vibe sneaking up her spine. He's just being a jerk, pulling some stunt to make a point. Fine, let him throw his little fit. I threw together some breakfast, taking my sweet time, flipping through my phone like everything was peachy. But every couple of minutes, my eyes darted to the front door, half expecting it to swing open. By noon, that nagging feeling had morphed into something uglier, something way past irritation, teetering on full-blown panic. I dialed Miles again, straight to voicemail, same as before. By 2 p.m., I poked around his social media. Gone. Every last account, wiped clean. I checked his work profile, vanished too. This hollow ache started clawing at my throat. I'm not stupid, I knew what this was starting to look like. But no way. He wouldn't ditch me. Day 2 rolled around, and I barely caught a wink of sleep that night. I kept telling myself I didn't give a damn, but my body wasn't buying it, my stomach was a mess, my skin felt like it was buzzing, and every creak in the house jolted me awake. I'd spent the evening blowing up his buddies' phones. Not one picked up, or maybe they just didn't want to talk to me. My texts. Left on read, every single one. Those group chats I'd been in forever. Silent as the grave. Even his family ghosted my calls. That's when a chill sank into my bones. This wasn't just getting blocked, I was being erased. My shaky fingers punched out another text, Miles, cut the kid stuff, you're making yourself look ridiculous. Then another, oh my god, you're really pulling this? That petty, huh? And one more, fine, pout all you want, but don't think I'll just sit here waiting when you snap out of it. Nada. Day 4 hit, and there I was in the kitchen, clutching my phone so hard my knuckles went pale. This couldn't be real. No way this was happening. He'd come back, he had to. But every day that dragged on, the truth sank its teeth in deeper. It burned like hell, Miles was gone for good. I'd lost him, and I didn't even see it coming. At first, I tried to brush it off. Okay, he bailed, so what? He'll crawl back once he sees nobody else will deal with his nonsense like I did. Then the rage kicked in. He thinks he can just walk out on me. I deserved way better than this crap. He owed me an apology, not this silent treatment garbage. I started telling my friends he was losing it, that he'd always been a loose cannon, that I was legit worried about him. Some bought it, most saw right through my bull. The whispers started creeping up behind me, people weren't falling for it anymore. At work, my coworkers shot me these sideways looks. My gym crew. Suddenly too busy to hang out. All that fake, poor you, dried up quick. I was on my own. And that's when the fear finally hit, because for the first time ever, I wasn't calling the shots. I grabbed my phone and did something I never thought I'd stoop to, I called his lawyer. A rough voice picked up. Victoria. I froze, thrown off, he knew it was me. My heart started hammering. I coughed, clearing my throat. Where's my husband? The guy sighed, long and tired. Ex-husband, you mean? It slammed into me like a freight train. What? I barely whispered it. There was a pause, then his tone sharpened. You didn't check your email, did you? My stomach plummeted. What email? A quiet beat, then, look in your inbox. Click, line dead. I stared at my phone, all the color draining out of me. I swallowed hard and pulled up my email. Right at the top, bold and unread, was his name. Subject, our divorce. My eyes blurred as I tapped it open. I skimmed the text, my pulse pounding so loud I could hardly think, filed, finalized, no turning back. Attached were pictures of me. Me slipping into a hotel room with some guy, laughing, touching, kissing. My throat locked up. He'd known. He'd known the whole damn time, and I danced right into his trap. My hands shook like crazy, my breathing all short and choppy. Miles had pulled off something I never thought he had in him, he'd outplayed me at my own game. And the worst part? I never even saw it coming. I sat there, fingers trembling, staring at that email. The words swam around, but they cut deep, filed, finalized, done. My marriage was over. My grip on everything slipped away. And the kicker, Miles had made me look like a total fool. Those photos attached. Brutal proof, sharp, undeniable shots of me ducking into a hotel with my side piece. Timestamp stretching back months. He'd known all along. My gut twisted up tight, nausea clawing at me. I grabbed the counter's edge, sucking in shaky breaths. This wasn't real. It couldn't be. With jittery hands, I shot off a text, "Miles, this isn't cute. Call me now." Nothing. I rang him, voicemail. Tried again, same story. He was blowing me off. My jaw clenched so hard it hurt. "Oh, you think you can just toss me aside?" No way was I letting him dump me like trash. I snatched my keys and stormed out the door. The first hit came hard. Miles's family shut me out cold. I peeled out to his parents' place, gripping the wheel so tight my knuckles turned ghost white. I figured they'd be worried, maybe even take my side. But when I rapped on their door, his mom barely glanced my way before barking through the screen, "Go home, Victoria." I blinked, totally thrown. Wait, I just want to talk to." Her face turned to stone. Nothing to say. The door didn't even twitch. I let out a shaky laugh, trying to play it off. "Okay, sure, he's pissed, but we're still family, right?" "No," she snapped, ice in her voice, "you used to be family." My gut twisted up hard. "This isn't him," I said, keeping my tone steady. "You know he's not thinking right, you see that, don't you?" Her eyes sliced through me. "You've got guts showing up here. My boy poured years into loving you, looking after you, and this is the thanks he gets." My throat clamped shut. "You trashed your own marriage, Victoria. You built this mess, deal with it." The door slammed in my face. I just stood there, dumbfounded. This wasn't how it was supposed to play out. They were supposed to feel sorry for me, back me up. Instead, I was getting iced out. The second punch landed fast. My friends turned their backs. I got home fuming and started blasting texts to my crew, expecting them to rally. "Can you believe this crap? Miles just bailed, no heads up, nothing. You guys gotta talk some sense into him, he's being absurd." I waited, phone in hand. Their replies hit me like a slap. "Lana, Victoria, seriously. Michelle, maybe just let him be. Jessica, he's got proof. V, you're not exactly the wronged one here." "What the hell?" I fired back. "You're actually taking his side." "Jessica, it's not about sides, but what did you expect to happen?" "Oh my God, you're all so over the top," I typed, fingers flying. "People step out all the time, it's not some huge deal. Marriages just have these bumps." Dead air in the chat. A minute later, Michelle bailed from the group. Then Jessica. Then Lana. One by one, they peeled off, leaving me staring at an empty screen. My hands were trembling. My own friends had flipped on me, I couldn't wrap my head around it. I called Michelle, no pickup. Dialed Jessica, straight to voicemail. The rumors were spreading, and now nobody wanted my stink on them. The third blow hit public and ugly, work turned into a nightmare. 2 days later, I walked into the office and felt the stares prickling my skin. Nobody said good morning like usual. The vibe was heavy, loaded with stuff nobody was saying out loud. My boss wouldn't even look at me. My coworkers kept swapping sneaky glances behind my back. My assistant, who's usually a chatterbox, went all clipped and cold. By lunch, I figured it out. I was in the break room, scrolling my phone, when I spotted it, a post from Miles's sister, "When someone shows their true colors, don't wait for a rerun." Underneath, that damn hotel photo of me. My heart flatlined. I peeked at the comments. Wow, some folks don't deserve a shred of loyalty. Miles dodged a train wreck, good for him. Guess girls' night doesn't fly anymore, huh? Ice shot through my veins. I smacked my phone down, hands shaking like crazy. A coworker shuffled past, eyes anywhere but on me. I felt naked, humiliated. Miles didn't just walk out, he torched my whole reputation. The last-ditch Hail Mary. By week's end, I was a wreck, social life dead, good name shredded, Miles untouchable. I had one card left to play. I faked a crisis. I called his lawyer's office, voice quivering, laying on the panic thick. "Tell Miles it's an emergency," I whispered. "Tell him I might be pregnant." The lie tasted like ash in my mouth. A long pause, then the lawyer let out a dry laugh, actually laughed. "Good one," he said. "You really need to keep up with your emails." Click, line dead. My stomach sank like a rock. I checked my inbox, hands jittery. New message. I opened it, paternity test request. Miles had seen every move coming from a mile away. A sob clawed its way out of me, half strangled. My own game had flipped and bitten me in the ass, and the worst part. I had nobody to point the finger at but me. I sat by myself in the pitch-dark living room, staring at the empty wine glass dangling in my hand. The quiet in the house was so loud it hurt my ears. I used to love it, that silence. It meant I was in charge. It meant Miles was right where I wanted him, sitting pretty, predictable, just another piece of my perfect little setup. Now, it felt like a damn crypt. My phone was flipped over on the coffee table, useless as a brick, nobody left to ring up. My friends had ditched me, even the ones who used to sneak around just like I did. Miles's family? They'd locked me out for good. Work was a freaking nightmare, those stares, the hushed gossip, the side-eyed judgment. People who used to wish they were me now just pitied me. And Miles? He'd vanished like smoke. Until today. A ping hit my phone that morning, and it sent a shiver racing down my back. Miles Davis is requesting a meeting. I gawked at it forever, my breath stuck in my chest. He wanted to see me. First thing I felt was pure fury. Oh, now he's ready to chat. After weeks of ignoring me? After dragging me through the mud? After wrecking everything? But under that fire was something I despised even more, a tiny spark of hope. I told myself it was just about winning, about getting the last jab in. Deep down, though, I knew the real deal. I had to see him. I had to know if there was even a sliver of a shot to patch this up. The meetup. He picked some nothing special cafe across town, quiet and low-key. I got there early on purpose, wanted to be the one parked at the table first, looking like I had it together. But when he strolled in, my stomach did a flip. Miles didn't just look different, he looked better. Sharp clothes, polished up in a way I'd never seen before. Shoulders back, standing tall, face blank as a wall. His hair was slicked neat, beard trimmed tight, he looked like a guy who'd already moved on. My mouth turned to sandpaper. He slid into the seat across from me, not saying a peep. I waited for him to break the ice, but he didn't budge. That drove me nuts. So I crossed my arms, faked a smirk, and tossed out, "What, you finally done pouting?" His lips twitched, not a laugh, but something icy. "I didn't pout, Victoria," he said. I strategized. A chill slithered down my back. I barked out a quick, sour laugh. "You really went all out over one dumb slip-up?" He cocked his head a little. "One slip-up?" I shrugged, kicking back in my chair. "All right, maybe a few screw-ups, but come on, Miles, let's keep it real, people cheat. It's normal. You're acting like I stabbed somebody." His jaw tightened, but he didn't blow up. That ticked me off more than if he'd yelled. I wanted him mad, wanted proof he still gave a damn. But he just sat there, cool as hell. "People cheat, huh?" he said after a beat. Then, so how's that panning out for you, Victoria? I went rigid. What's that supposed to mean? He leaned in, elbows on the table. Last I checked, you're fresh out of Friends. My family won't touch you with a 10-foot pole. Your boss can't even look at you straight. My throat squeezed shut. Don't act like you're some saint, I snapped back. I was a hell of a wife to you, maybe if you weren't such a snooze, I wouldn't have needed to hit the town so much. There it was, my go-to excuse, my shield. I braced for him to lose it, maybe shout. Instead, he smiled, not warm, not sad, just sharp and knowing. You still don't see it, he said, voice low. My stomach sank. His eyes pinned mine, cold, steady, done. I didn't walk out because you cheated, Victoria. My lips parted, confusion flashing through me. He leaned back, arms folding over his chest. I left because you weren't worth sticking around for. Shame hit me like a tidal wave. My nails dug into the table. Screw you, I hissed. He chuckled, dry as dust. Been there. Biggest regret I've got. Tears stung my eyes, but I locked them down, hell if I'd let him see me crack. I had one last card to play, one shot to claw back some power. I licked my lips, made my voice shake. I miss you. It felt weird coming out, but I knew how to sell it. I messed up, Miles, I whispered, reaching for his hand. I hate myself for it every day. Don't toss out everything we built. For a split second, I swore I saw a flicker in his eyes. Then he yanked his hand away. His voice stayed flat, unshaken. You don't miss me, Victoria, he said. You miss being in charge. My heart froze. You miss having a guy who swallowed your garbage, who kept your life cushy, who let you stomp all over him no matter how many times you did it. He leaned closer. Newsflash, that guy's long gone. I sucked in a ragged breath. Have fun with your freedom, he said, standing up. You've got plenty of it now. I jumped to my feet. You don't get to just walk out on me. He smiled again. Already did. Then he turned and left. I stood there, stuck, as it all crashed down. This was it, done for good. No do-overs, no victory. Just me, alone. And for the first time ever, I felt the full gut punch of what I'd lost, not just the marriage, not just my rep, not just the upper hand. I'd lost the one person who ever really loved me, and I'd chucked him like he was trash. Now I was the one left in the dust.